Author Fiona Snickers is joining me on Skype. She's just released her latest book, Now Following You. Now, this is a fictional book that reveals the real life issues when it comes to the power social media gives to stalkers. This book is quite interesting because it's a fictional encounter, but when you're reading it, you can really see how the situations that take place in this book could happen to anyone.
For people who belong to the modern digital generation, this is something that could arise very easily.
Now, tell me about what inspired you to write this book.
I've noticed that as social media has matured over the years, people have become more and more open and more willing to share everything about their lives. And as a writer, I was interested in the consequences of that. What could possibly go wrong with it?
Tell me about the research you did for this book.
Well, I spent a lot of time on Facebook and Twitter for one thing, and Instagram, and also just speaking to people over social media about how much they were comfortable with sharing, whether they'd ever had any bad experiences. And in fact, quite a surprising number of people had unwanted experiences that made them feel uncomfortable or violated in some way. So I sort of took those stories and patchworked them together and came up with a plot for the book.
The main character is Jamie, and she has a very prominent online profile which sees her get into a little bit of a sticky situation. Why don't you introduce us to that?
Yes, Jamie Birchall is a would-be author. She's unpublished. Her whole career ambition is centered around building a social media profile. So when she finds that she has attracted this unwanted attention from a stalker, it's very difficult for her to shut herself off because the attention is actually bringing her good attention as well, because now suddenly people are interested in her story. They enjoy hearing about her real life stalker experience.
What was it like for you to see her in this situation and not wanting to give it up?
I've noticed a trend online recently whereby young women are blamed for their social media behavior. Like if you post a picture of yourself in a bikini on Facebook, having Jamie in my head made me, in a way, more and more forceful about how women shouldn't be policed online. They shouldn't have people telling them this is acceptable, that's not acceptable, you must operate within these parameters and that kind of thing.
What was it like to have the stalker right there in your head beside Jamie?
For people who do participate in social media, it's a kind of nightmare that you think will never happen, that anybody will take an unhealthy interest in you and then that they will actually violate your real life space. It's one thing to be stalked on social media, but it's another thing when the person manages to triangulate where you live and actually starts invading your space in real life.
Do you hope that young people who are very active on social media, take this as not a warning sign, but as a little bit of an education as to what could happen and the different steps that people should take to protect themselves?
The default for most social media apps is to be as open as possible. And if you're not comfortable with that, you have to physically set your privacy settings higher. And I'm always surprised by how many people don't actually realize that, people of all ages.
How do you think parents should be educating their children when it comes to social media?
If you're going to let your children have social media accounts, you need to become familiar with that world yourself and use your own experience to speak to them about the consequences of what they say and do.
Now, Fiona, lastly, what do you hope people take away from this fictional account of what could happen on social media?
That the world is changing. It's becoming digital and the privacy parameters are changing. I would like there to be less attempts to control women and how they behave themselves online, and less blaming of people who get into trouble for wearing the wrong things or going to a party or whatever, where an employer might look at that and think you're not a suitable employee. I think everybody in the world needs to realize that the whole world is going digital and it's changing, and we need to redraw our ideas of privacy.